Good afternoon. Sorry, it's not good morning as it normally is, but good afternoon. Welcome to another live stream. Welcome to another episode of Dazed, Confused, and Generally Buggered. I'm Simon Scholes, and if you didn't already know, if you're brand new to the stream, or maybe you're brand new to the replay because you're watching on replay, I'm the founder and creative director of Perception Studios, this thing right here. We're an award-winning visual marketing agency. We're based in the UK. And we help brands and businesses create video content, animation content, aerial content, photography content, basically anything that's visual connected to their social media brand. We do all sorts of other video content as well, like showcase videos and documentary style videos, but we concentrate on creating social media content, which is why I do what I do as well with my own personal brand, which is try to help you understand as a brand, as a business, what you can do yourself for free. My favorite four-letter word, FREE. What can you do for free with your brand on your social media? I try to cover as much off as I possibly can, and every single day we're doing a live broadcast, Days Confused and Generally Buggered, which I feel is probably pretty much how everybody is feeling at the moment, and is also the wording on my mug, which is why it's called that. And we answer as many of your questions about social media. We'll answer as many of your questions about video as I possibly can do in the time that we are live. The more questions that come in, the longer we're on for. And also, you're more than welcome to join me live on the broadcast if you want to. All you've got to do is let me know in the comments that you fancy actually being on the live broadcast today. That's all you've got to do. Just say, yeah, I'd love to be on the live broadcast. I'll invite you in and we can have a chat, talk about your brand, your business, give you some free publicity and answer any of your questions as well. So get writing in the comments. Doesn't matter what platform you're on at the moment, I can still invite you in. So whether you're on Twitch, if you're on Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, in the Facebook group, How to 9 Times Your Social Media, or on the Perception Studios UK Facebook page as well. Just get in touch with me. Let me know that you're alive out there. I can hear you breathing. So let me know that you're there and we'll have a chat. Also today, we're going to try to cover off a little bit about lighting. It's a question I get asked quite a lot, actually. It's about kit in general for when you're creating videos. And lighting is a big one. Lighting's actually really important if you have the space to do it. Sometimes you don't have the space, sometimes you don't have the ability or the lights in general to actually do some stuff. But I'm going to take you through what's called 3-point lighting, the simple lighting of a video. It's not what I'm using here right now. As you can see, I'm in a fairly small space. But if you've got a bit of space to play with, 3-point lighting can really make a big difference to your videos. So we're going to chat about that this morning. And like I say, answer any of your questions as well. Also, if you are like watching this on the replay at the moment, please do stick around, ask any of your questions still on the replay. We'll answer them either tomorrow or maybe I can get in touch with you directly and we can have a chat. But if you want to kind of go through the whole process that I go through with all of my clients, which is how to 9 times your social media, you can do that right now. Go and join my Facebook group, which is named down here, How to 9x Your Social Media. There's a link at the top of the group. It won't cost you a penny for either of these things to either join the group or to download my former #1 book. I have a book which is called How to 9 times Your Social Media, and it takes you through the whole process that I use with all of my clients when they're first starting out on their content creation journey. And basically, it's everything you can do yourself. That won't cost you a penny. It'll just cost you some time and maybe a little bit of learning time as well. But let's face it, if there's one thing we've all got on our hands at the moment during all this craziness is time. So if you've got time on your hands, download a copy of the book, give it a read. It's more like a pamphlet. I can't even remember how many pages it is, but it's not many, about 50 pages long, something like that. And it just takes you through the process nice and simply, nice and generically, so you can then change it to work for your brand and your business, but just will help you make your content work harder for you, because there's nothing worse than right now just posting 1 or 2 pieces of content. You want to try and make your content work really hard for you, get that content out there onto multiple platforms. So even if you just create 1 piece of content, where else could you put it? What could you do with that 1 piece of content to make it into other content? It's a lot more simple than you think it is. It sounds complicated, but it really isn't. And you can download that book right now for free. I say it's free. It is gated. You give me some details. And then if you don't want to ever hear from me again, you just click no. So if you don't want to hear from me, that's absolutely fine. I don't care. I just want to get you onto your content creation journey. So download my book. It's free, and you can say no to ever hearing from me ever again. Or you can say yes, and we can chat on email, and I'll be sending you my newsletter and give you all the hints and tips and stuff like that all the way through all this craziness and also beyond that as well. Anyway, right, shall we go into the comments? Let's have a quick look, see who's on at the moment. Oh, you're all very quiet. There are people watching, but you're not very loud. So don't forget to let me know if you're watching, where you are, who you are, and in the comments on whatever platform it is you're watching on. And we'll do our best to answer as many of those as we possibly can do. Say hello to as many people as we possibly can do. Let's have a quick look on Twitter, because I know Twitter's a bit of an unusual one. People could be watching on Twitter, but not actually there. Okay. Oh, we've got a few of the guys from the 11th hour, so hello to you. Thank you very much for watching. And we've also got Facebook user. Now, it comes up like this. So where are we? There we are. Facebook user. There is a little link you can click which will allow StreamYard, which is the software I use, to actually display your username. So if you want it to show your username, just let StreamYard do that. Doesn't harm your system in any way, shape or form, or post anything for you. It just means that the software can actually see who you are, and I can say your name and maybe even talk about your brand and stuff like that. But anyway, good morning to the Facebook user who's watching at the moment. And also, as well, as always, if you are a little bit embarrassed and you don't want to ask a question live on the stream, or you don't want to ask a question and people see you asking a question on whatever platform you're on at the moment, feel free to email me. It's scrolling across the bottom right there. It will come through to my emails. I'll take your name and your business and everything else out of the equation, and we'll just answer the question on the live stream today, or whenever I get the question through, we'll answer that live question on one of the live streams in the near future, because this is daily. It's meant to be at 11 o'clock. Sadly, obviously, it wasn't, but whatever. Hello to Rachel Tapping. Hi, Simon. I'm supposed to be working, but my laptop has had a meltdown, so I'm here. This is work. You're going to learn something today, Rachel. So it's still work, even though it's not really work. But you could use it as a networking opportunity and say hello to a few people. This is Rachel Tapping. She's currently on Facebook, and she does a lot of stuff with kids, and she does copywriting. So there's a few little strings to her bow. So maybe you may want to have a chat with her at some point or another. Go and search her out. And yes, anyway, so this morning I want to chat to you about 3-point lighting, how to light your videos. So right now I am lighting my video using the light from the window, obviously, and you can see that's very much darker than it was. I'm using a ring light, which would normally be in front of you, but unfortunately, I don't know if I can show you this. Maybe if I can get it up on my camera. I'm in a corner, basically. So if I get my camera there and just spin it around. So there you go. This is my studio space, basically. It's in between the wardrobe, which is here, and the wall, which is there. So there's not a lot of space, and I can't fit the light behind there. So what I've done is I've put the light down here, sat it in the bin, and when I do that, I light up a little bit nicer. Backlighting yourself, not a great idea. Generally have light facing towards you if you possibly can do. Good morning to Siobhan Booth as well. She's really cool. Go check out her content. Let's have a look what else have we got coming through. Rachel saying thanks for the shout out. I've got your book on my Kindle, super helpful. Brilliant. I'm glad that's helping you. So anyway, so 3-point lighting. Let's have a chat about 3-point lighting. So when you're making videos, if you have the space, you can do what's called 3-point lighting. Now this is the most basic level of lighting, generally that actually is. And basically what it does is it uses 3 lights, hence the name 3-point. You have what's called a key light, which is generally your brightest light. You have a fill light, which is your second brightest light. And then you have a backlight, which is kind of obvious by the name of what it actually is. So I'm going to show you, or hopefully show you, I'm going to share my screen in 1 second. I'm just going to pop that up there. And I'm going to hopefully share my screen with you and show you an image which kind of gives you an idea of what 3-point lighting is all about. Here we go. So sharing my screen, and brilliant. That's what I want to share. Okay, so we're sharing my screen at the moment. Obviously, we've got the multiple levels. What I'm going to do is going to show you this one thing right here now. So this is 3-point lighting. So this is you sat right in the middle of all the light. So you have your brightest light. So your camera is here, you're facing the camera and you're talking to the camera. Always talk to the lens. I'm looking at the screen because I'm describing what it is I'm looking at, but always talk to the lens. So you're talking to the camera's right in front of you. You have a key light off to one side. It is the brightest light, so it's going to cause a little bit of shadowing on your opposite side. So then what you do is you use a fill light, which is on the opposite side of the key light, and that lights up the other side of your face. And then you have a backlight, which can go off to one side or directly behind you, anywhere around you and behind, obviously, hence being called a backlight. And that will just give a little bit more depth to the way that you look. So if you're on a blank background, it doesn't feel like you are just part of the background and it's only 2D. It gives a bit more of a 3D feel to the lighting. Now you can use all sorts of different lights. I'm just going to get rid of this and stop sharing. So you can use all sorts of different lights for this. Obviously, I have professional lighting. I just don't have the space to do it. But you could use a lamp. So like I've got a bedroom light there, and we've got another one over there as well. So we could maybe use something like that. There's all sorts of different lights that you could use. So whatever lights you've got at home right now, try and make the use of them. See if they're bright enough to do what it is that you're looking for. If they're not, after this broadcast, I'm going to put a link in my description to a document I have on my website, and it'll give you a link to a bunch of different places that sell lighting from all different types of price ranges as well. There's loads of different type of lighting you can do. You could even get a miniature version of that ring light that I showed you, and it clips onto your phone and lights your face. It's called a selfie ring light. Now, they're not particularly bright, so it's more for if you're just doing content, arm's length, talking to your lens, and it will give you a bit more lighting on your face. If it's any further away than an arm's length, it's really not going to do any good. So they're generally around about £5 or £6 at the cheapest, and they go up to about £12. They're not bad. They're pretty good, like I say, for that style content. So if you're sat on your sofa and you're talking to the lens, you're thinking, right, I want to do a video today and I want to get into the habit, then that will give you a little bit more lighting, but it's only going to just soften up the lighting on your face already. There are other things you can do without needing to have kit. Like I say, if you've got a window, if you possibly can do, I can't, I have a bed in the way, but if you can, face yourself towards the curtain towards the window, and the light coming from your window will give you a lovely bit of lighting, lovely soft lighting. And if the sun's directly outside the window, then just offset yourself slightly so that the sun's not in your eyes, and so you're not like this trying to talk to your audience, but it will still light you perfectly, really, really nicely. And then you don't need loads of lights. But if you've got any lights whatsoever, any like standard lights or bedside lights, all that kind of thing, just give them a go. See how they can help light up your area. They might not be bright enough. You might need to spend some money, especially if you're in a really dark room. But they might just make enough of a difference that actually your video content stops looking grainy. Because what's happening with your phone and with DSLR cameras and everything else like that, the sensor is trying to pull as much light into the lens as it possibly can do. But if the sensor's not great or the lens isn't brilliant, then it will create what's called noise. And noise is when your image looks really grainy. So when it looks less than HD, when it looks like it's got lots of little dots all over it, that's what's called noise. And it's because there isn't enough light in the room to light you, so the image is broken up ever so slightly. And that's just generally what noise is. It's not a bad thing, but if you want that nice crisp image, then definitely look to try and light yourself just a little bit better if you possibly can do. So hopefully that's kind of explained a little bit about what actually 3-point lighting is. It's really simple, really easy. I'm going to show you that screen one more time. Here we go. That image one more time. If I do that and this, here we go. So that is 3-point lighting. It's really simple. Set your camera up, then set up your key light, set up your fill light, and set up your backlight. That's 3-point lighting. You could get very mysterious, and you could actually start creating content where you don't use all 3 lights. You might only use 2, so you have a slight shadow on one side. Or you might actually just end up having a light pointing towards you, because the whole point of this light here, let me just show you it again. This light here is it's a ring light, and actually generally what's the idea is your DSLR sits in there looking at you, and then you turn on the light, you play around with whatever lighting you want. I'm blinding you right now, but I can turn that down, or I can turn it up, whatever you want to do, and it will light you to a certain point so that you can still talk to the lens without feeling like you're completely blinded, but like just make you look a little bit nicer than you already do. And let's face it, you're all pretty much gorgeous already, but it could just make a big difference to your content. Anyway, hopefully that's helped you a little bit with lighting. If you've got any questions, as always, I want you to chuck them into the comments for me. And it would be great as well if any of you would like to join me on the live today. I know Siobhan has got loads of value to give. She's got a great podcast that she puts out, and she's got a great set of content, her blogs, her general Facebook page and that kind of stuff. Always loads of great content going out. And in fact, Siobhan, if you're still on right now, I can't tell if you're still on, but if you are, leave a link to your podcast and I'll put it up on the screen so people can go and watch your podcast if they want to, which I think is a great way of creating content. If you aren't creating a podcast just yet, definitely the podcast is the way to go. And that's pretty much it, really. I'm just here to answer your questions now. I've talked about lighting. And Siobhan is happy to join me. So give me 1 second then, Siobhan. We are going to have a chat. Let's see if I can do this. How do I do this? Right, I have a special link. So if I do that, 1 moment, talk amongst yourselves. Siobhan's going to join us and talk a little bit more about what it is that she does, because I think that's really important for us all, especially in these difficult times, is to have a chat about what it is that we do as a brand and as a business. So here we go. Let me just find her. Booth, and let's just find her there, and I'll drop her a message on her Facebook page. So get ready for a Facebook message coming through to you, Siobhan, on your anxiety page. So here we go. So you'll have a link now, Siobhan, on your Facebook page on there, and yeah, you just send me a so if you hopefully can link to that, can you link to that? Did you see that? Hopefully you've seen that. If you haven't, I'll do it on your personal page as well. But anybody out there who's watching right now who would like to be on the live broadcast, you are more than welcome to join me. We'll do our best to get you into the live broadcast, and yeah, we can just have a chat about what it is that you do, who your brand, what your brand is, what you do for your social media, how maybe I could help you, all that kind of stuff. Fingers crossed that's where it goes, Siobhan. Does that work, Siobhan? I don't know if it has or not. Private chat. I don't know if this works or not, because I think you have to write to me privately first. At Siobhan. I don't know if this will work or not. We'll give it a go. Anyway, so there you go. Yeah, you're more than welcome to join me on my live and stuff like that. If you are watching on the replay at the moment, feel free to drop me any questions. If you're mentioning about the live stream anywhere at all, make sure that you include the hashtag #HowTo9times your social media, because that would be really cool to have you pushing the content out to more people, so more people can get actual value from what it is I'm talking about, even if it's just like a small, simple subject matter like lighting. And so we have Siobhan, and there she is. There she is.
Hello.
Half and half. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you getting on?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a bit of a weird,
bizarre situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about yourself? How are you coping? Because obviously, your husband will be at home as well, because your husband's a chiropractor. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. So for me, actually, it hasn't been much different, because I'm a talking therapist, so we can do that fairly easily online.
Yeah.
So things have largely been normal for myself. But yeah, for my husband, John, is a chiropractor, so his therapy is very hands-on. So he's seen his client base drop off completely, because he's not really allowed to see anyone. But he has changed and done video consultations instead. So he's able to do a certain amount, and he's able to offer some advice instead of getting his hands on people.
Yeah, getting his hands down. I was going to say, actually, he's got a lot of things he could probably help people with, like stretches, because there's going to be more people doing gardening and DIY than ever before, right? So all the advice he could give to people about how to stand properly or how to push the lawnmower right and all that kind of stuff, invaluable, I would imagine, at the moment.
And some things that happen, some low back issues can feel horrendous, but they're not actually as serious as they might feel. And there's lots of screening questions he can ask to make sure that it's not something serious, which is helping keep people out of A&E if they don't need to be there. So that's the best thing he's offering at the moment.
Brilliant.
Just realised how bad my hair is.
Don't worry. Why do you think I'm wearing that? Anyway, so you say you're a talking therapist. So is that the same as a speech therapist, or is it something completely different?
No, I'm a hypnotherapist, and I use something called cognitive behavioural therapy as well. So we spend a lot of time talking about anxiety is what I specialise in. So we talk a lot about anxiety. We map out how people's anxiety works, and then we develop a plan and coping techniques to help people overcome the anxiety, basically, or learn to control it to the best possible extent they can.
Cool. And I'm guessing because you call yourself a talking therapist, it's aimed directly at people who don't really want to get up on stages and talk to people, or even do this kind of content and don't want to get on camera and talk to an audience.
To be honest, I'll work with all types of anxiety. So if you're scared of speaking in front of people, it's a form of anxiety. So it's the same kind of process really for me. So yeah, I get to see all sorts of weird and wonderful things that people are anxious about, scared about, nervous of, want to do but are too scared to. So a huge range.
Cool. And do you have like any exercises? So we've got an audience watching right now. There might be people going, I never want to do what you're doing right now, or I'm really anxious about other things. Is there any exercises that people can do to try and just lower that level of anxiety straight away?
That's a tricky one, really. So if people are particularly anxious about doing like live videos or talking in front of people, the best things you can really do are to prepare yourself for it. So, I mean, this isn't a good situation because obviously I'm not prepared, as you can see.
Action's not important, though. It's the value of the content. So.
But if I was doing a live video for myself, I mean, I'd have a little plan. And I like to stick things underneath my phone when I'm doing it. So I've got like a bullet point list of things that I want to cover. So yeah, just make sure you have a plan and you've got something to refer back to, because inevitably what happens and what people are scared of is you start talking and you sort of get lost in yourself, in what you're saying.
You don't know when
and then you suddenly panic. So just having a few bullet points written down really helps. So yeah, prepare.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you've probably heard me say it in the past, but my favourite 5 Ps, it's my 5 Ps, is preparation prevents piss poor performance. So if you're prepared when you go into any form of content, it doesn't matter whether it is doing a video or not or anything like that, then you are prepared. So social media, you do use it. You've got your podcast going out now and again. You do videos now and again. What kind of stuff do you really enjoy creating?
That's a good question, actually. I've always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with social media. So it's something that I often put off a little bit, if I'm brutally honest. I enjoy doing the podcast basically because I enjoy talking through things that I've been thinking about recently. So if I've had a particularly interesting client, or if I've particularly used a technique that's been really helpful, then I just talk through those and any other topics that interest me, really. So I enjoy doing the podcast because it's easy. I don't have to put makeup on and get myself ready. I can just set up a mic and start talking about something that I find interesting. In terms of other social media, it tends to then fall away from the podcast. So the podcast gets made first, and then everything else kind of follows after that. So the blog ends up being really just a written version of what I've talked about. And then any quotes and things that get shared, they're usually quotes from the podcast or the blog, and everything kind of points towards that.
That's a great example of repurposing, though, which is exactly what I try and
get. Which I learned from you.
Brilliant. This is what we want. This is what we want. People understanding you can learn stuff. But yeah, it's so easy to make stuff work harder for you, and just have that one piece of content, and then you've made it work so much. So what is it that makes you stop doing social media as much as you think you should be? Is it you obviously doing what you do. I'd like to think you're not, but maybe you give a damn about what other people think about you, or is it that you're always aiming, because you were saying about I have to have my makeup on and this and that and the other. So are you striving for perfection, or are you just...
Yeah, I think so sometimes, particularly with like video and things. It's a representation of yourself, and there's always a bit of a pressure, I think, to want to look the best you can and set everything up nicely. I think one of the other things that I struggle with as well is almost the amount of different things that you feel like you have to get done. So I end up anyway, spending lots of time researching hashtags, trying to find other information to make it work. And you end up feeling a bit like there's a lot of time been spent trying to work out how to get people to look at this.
Yeah, there is a huge overwhelm to stuff, which is why there's some really great tools out there. I don't talk about the tools all that often, but you can always go on to like the iTunes store or whatever store you're on, at Google Play or something like that, and actually find different tools that can help, especially with things like hashtags. For example, there's an app called Tailwind. I don't know if you've come across that one before.
No,
and it has I think it's 30 posting limit on it, but you can post onto Instagram. You can schedule your posts to go on Instagram, and it will send you a reminder, and you just press post and it'll put it up for you. But it will also look at the description that you've written, and the AI will then help you choose the best hashtags for that piece of content, which is really cool. There's also an app.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool app, but it does cost money after those 30 posts. There is another one I use. Let me see if I can find Tailwind, see if I've still got Tailwind on my phone anywhere. I think I've probably... Oh, no, there it is. So if I hold that up to the camera, it looks just like that, like a little bird's tail kind of thing. And I've used up all of mine, but yeah, you just sign up with your Instagram account, and then it kind of does it all for you. And then there's another great one that I've been using recently, which is called Hashtags. And it's obviously the hashtag in the bottom, and it does hashtags for lots of different platforms: TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. And you just type in the 5 main key hashtags that you think would be relevant to your content. So for you, it could be anxious speaking, keynote speaking, whatever it would be, hypnotherapy. Then you press generate, and it'll generate the 30 most ideal hashtags to go with your content.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
So there are a couple of little tools that can help you, and also just you're trying to make things a little bit more time efficient, and then having to spend all that time doing all those other things. When you've created that one piece of content and been so efficient by repurposing it, yeah, you can make life a little bit easier. How do you turn your podcast into a blog? Do you sit there and transcribe it yourself?
It depends. Often in the process of planning my podcast, I sort of end up writing the blog first, really.
Cool.
Because in creating the list of things that I want to cover and researching anything that I want to back it up with, because I'm quite scientific based. So if I can back it up with studies and things, then I like to be able to do that if I can. So in the process of doing all that, the blog itself kind of just gets written anyway, and then it just needs padding out and finishing.
Just out of interest as well, to help you get the blog out further, do you backlink the research that you've done?
Yes, if there's usable links, then yes, absolutely.
Okay. Fantastic. And when you're putting it out on Twitter, do you mention the people that you've done it, you've researched? So, for example, it might be Bob's hypnotherapy. I've written this blog about X, Y, and Z, and Bob's hypnotherapy's research was invaluable.
I haven't actually, and that's a fantastic idea.
Because then you've got that opportunity that they might see that and then push it out to a wider audience, which is it's all about that element of being social on social media. I'm a big fan. I talk to a lot of my clients about what I call the rule of a third. So you have a third of your own content, you have a third of pushing out other people's content, so talking about other people's content, whether it's connected to what you do or not, and that's where that would drop into. And then the most important third, which is being social, which that also drops into as well. So be social on social media.
Okay, that's a really cool tip. I'll try that.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad that's kind of helped, and I hope people will come and find you. What are your links, and where's the number one place you want people to come and find you, Siobhan?
The podcast would be the best place to go to, and it's on iTunes and Spotify and also Podbean, and it's just called the Anxiety to Confidence podcast, and it's the number 2.
Anxiety to podcast. I'm just going to put it up on screen now and make I'm just spelling badly, anxiety. Put an X right at the end for some reason. There we go. Right, if I save that, if I plug it up on the screen, is that correct?
Yes, that's it.
Brilliant. So everybody go and find Siobhan's podcast there. Then that will lead you to all her other content as well. Thank you for popping in and joining us
That's okay.
and letting us know what you do. And stay safe. And I hope you.
Yeah, same to you and
Yeah,
anyone watching.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a weird situation. This
This is bizarre. Yes.
yeah, another 3 weeks of this as well. So yeah, right. I'm gonna enjoy some more brew. Thanks for joining us, Siobhan.
No problem at all.
Ta-da.
Bye.
Bye. How awesome was that? Thank you very much to Siobhan for joining us today and having a chat about what she does and anxiety and helping people with anxiety. And go and check out our podcast. It's up on the screen right now, the Anxiety 2 podcast. Go see what that's all about. So if you're watching right now and you're watching live or if you're watching on replay, feel free to drop your questions into the comments box right now. They'll pop up on my screen. We can answer your questions live or in another live stream as well. And also, just like Siobhan just did, you could be on the live stream. So if you want to come and join me on the live stream, feel free. You're more than welcome to join me. It takes a little bit of doing, as you saw, but we can get you up. We can have a chat about your business, your brand, what it is you're doing, maybe answer any of your questions. We've been going for 30 minutes and we'll go to 35, see if any more questions come through. If not, thank you ever so much as always for watching. If you are brand new to the streams and you've never watched the content before, then it's live on loads of different platforms. But if you want to go to one platform in particular where you can get hold of some really cool free content and a free book as well, my free #1 book. I'm going to take the podcast off the screen for now. I'll put it back up in a minute. Come and join my group on Facebook, How to 9 Times Your Social Media. Siobhan's a member there. I think Rachel's in the group as well, who's been watching the live stream today. And everybody who's kind of been on the live stream in the past, I think is a member of the group. So come and join the group, How to 9 Times Your Social Media. The very top link on that group is my former #1 book. You click on there, you get it completely for free. You fill in some details, won't cost you a penny, and then you will get my book for free. And if you want to, you can sign up to my weekly newsletter, which I try to get out on a weekly basis. Sometimes I don't, but I try and get it out there. And that involves loads of like social media news, what's been happening in the business over the week, some stuff that can really help you out, some top tips, some secret stuff that nobody else but the newsletter people will actually get hold of. Along with that, there's also links to some of the better performing content from me during the week. So like my top podcast from the week and my top video from the week, all that kind of stuff as well. So if you want to subscribe, then you feel free, you do so, and you get the newsletter and you get the book for free as well. Or you can just get hold of the book and say, no, I never want to hear from this northern numpty ever again. And you never have to. You never hear from me again, but you get my free book and you can go through it and learn how to 9 times your social media by creating just one piece of content, just like Siobhan was talking about. Create that one piece of content and then turn that piece of content into many pieces of content. And in fact, even if you just do a podcast like Siobhan, you can still turn that podcast into video content using different apps, which we'll talk about in the very near future. We've spoken a little about them in the past, but we'll talk about them more in the future. But in the meantime, we're coming up fast onto 35 minutes. You guys have been awesome this morning. Thank you very much for joining me. If you do have any questions, if you're watching this on replay or if you're just watching this now and you're actually live, but you're just coming in at the end of the video, feel free to leave any questions. We'll answer them in the future. We'll answer them on the next live stream. In fact, if you like, I don't mind. That would be pretty cool. And we'll answer your questions. Or if you want to, you can instead actually, I'm just going to let everybody into the group because there's a few people wanting to join the group. If you want to instead and you don't want people to see your name popping up with a question, drop me an email instead on that email address that's scrolling across the bottom there. And we can either have a one-to-one Skype call or we can answer your question live by taking all your details out and just answering your question. So before I disappear, one last time, thank you very much to Siobhan for joining us. That's her podcast right there. I have to remember I'm in reverse. That's her podcast right there. Go and check it out on iTunes, on Podbean, and I think she said Spotify as well. And yeah, have a great rest of your Monday. Let's start the week as we mean to go on, plan some content out, get yourself ready and start creating some content this week. Hopefully the 3-point lighting stuff has helped you out as well. And I will see you tomorrow, 11-ish. 11ish, yeah, because it all depends on him in there being asleep when I plan on going live. That's why we moved it till 12 o'clock today. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care and stay